I loved him while he figured himself out. When he finally came back, ready to give me everything I'd asked for, it was too late. I had already learned how to live without him. We met when we were 24. I was just starting grad school, bartending nights, kind of chaotic but functional. He was 26, we'll call him A, already out of college, working as a creative director for a mid-sized branding agency. He had that steady thing, quiet confidence, big reader energy, deep laugh. I wasn't his type. He told me that once, not in a mean way. Just said, "You're louder than the people I usually date." But I like it. We didn't rush anything. Friends first. Lots of long conversations, late-night walks, playlists sent without context. We slept together for the first time 4 months in. He kissed me like he meant it. Slow, intentional. Like he'd decided already. I remember thinking, this is the first time I've been chosen quietly. The first red flag was gentle. He didn't want to call it a relationship. He said he was figuring himself out. I didn't push. I told myself I was cool with casual. We acted like a couple. He introduced me to his friends. We went to a wedding together, but he never called me his girlfriend. And every time I asked where this was going, he'd say, "I don't want to hurt you by promising something I can't keep." Which hurt anyway. We did that dance for over a year. I loved him. He knew it, he never said it back. Not because he didn't feel it, but because he didn't trust it. Said he wasn't ready to be responsible for someone's heart like that. I cried in his kitchen once and told him, "It's already yours. You just haven't accepted delivery." He kissed my forehead and said nothing. I met someone else briefly. A guy in my cohort. Safe. Smiled a lot. Took me out to dinner without acting like it cost him something. A found out. We weren't exclusive, so I hadn't cheated, but he got weirdly distant for weeks. Wouldn't talk about it. Then one night he showed up at my apartment drunk and said, "I know I don't have the right to ask, but don't fall in love with someone else before I'm ready." I stayed, because I'm an idiot, and because I loved him more than I loved myself back then. I deleted the other guy's number, told myself I was choosing depth over stability. He didn't promise anything after that, just gave me more silence, more half gestures, more just enough to stay. I started therapy. Not because of him, but because I didn't recognize the versions of myself who kept shrinking. My therapist asked, what would it look like if you stopped waiting for him to become ready? I cried. A lot. Then I started writing down every time he made me feel like I was asking for too much. The list got long. He never cheated, never yelled, never disrespected me outright. He just held me emotionally hostage, loved me in shadows, and said he was protecting me by not stepping into the light, and I believed him. Until one day, I didn't anymore. I ended it in his apartment, told him I loved him, and I probably always would, but I couldn't keep bleeding. Quietly, just because he wasn't ready to stop hiding. He didn't beg. He didn't argue. He just looked crushed. He said, "I was gonna ask you to stay, but I realized that would be for me, not for you." I nodded, and I left. The first week after the breakup, I felt like I was detoxing. Not from love, from hope. Hope is sneaky. It doesn't leave with the person. It lingers, gets into your bones. I kept reaching for my phone, expecting something. Didn't text. I cried on my bathroom floor the third night. It wasn't grief. It was anger. I realized I'd been loyal to potential for almost 2 years. Loyal to a version of him that lived only in one-day promises. Everyone said the same thing. You did the right thing. You deserve someone who chooses you. He'll realize what he lost. I nodded, smiled, said thanks. But inside I thought, if I did the right thing, why does it feel like something died? I threw myself into school, work, therapy, started. Going to the gym again, reconnected with a friend I distanced myself from because she didn't like how he treated me. She never said I told you so, just held my hand during a movie and whispered, "I'm proud of you." 2 months in, I slept with someone, a bartender from my regular spot, easy eyes, kind smile. Nothing complicated. It was fine. I didn't text him after. He didn't ask why. I stared at my ceiling that night and whispered, this would have broken him. Then immediately felt sick for thinking it. I started journaling. Every day. Not about him, about me, what I wanted, what I liked, what I'd stopped doing to make space for him. Turns out it was a long list: painting, waking up early, cooking meals that didn't just keep the peace wearing. Red lipstick without feeling too loud. I saw him once, from across a bookstore. I froze. He didn't see me. He was laughing with someone. A friend, maybe. He looked good. Calm. I left before he could turn around. I stood outside in the cold for 5 full minutes before I could breathe again. He texted me 5 months after the breakup. "Hey, I hope you're okay." Just that. No explanation, no context. I stared at it. Heart pounding, fingers shaking, then locked my phone and didn't answer. Because I knew if I cracked that door open, I wouldn't shut it again. The next week, he texted. "Again, I miss you. I've been working on myself. I think I'm finally ready to give you what you always gave me." It was everything I used to dream of hearing. But I wasn't the same girl who used to dream it. I didn't reply right away. I sat with it. Let it marinate. Read it like a script from someone who arrived to the movie during the credits. Then I wrote back slowly. "I'm glad you're doing the work. I really am. But I had to become someone who stopped waiting. And she doesn't want to go back." His reply was instant. "So that's it?" And I typed, "You said you weren't ready when I was. I'm not ready now that you are. I guess that is it." He didn't take my answer well. For someone who spent years not committing, he sure snapped to urgency the second I pulled away. He called, texted, emailed me a letter, a literal letter like it was 2007. He said, "I get it now. I'm ready now. Don't punish me for getting there slower." But this wasn't punishment, it was protection. He asked if we could meet, just to talk. No pressure. My therapist said it was okay, if I could promise myself that I wouldn't twist the knife or reach for a happy ending. I promised. Sort of. We met at a park. Neutral ground. Cold air. Coffee in hand. He looked the same. Except not. More grounded. Softer around the eyes. Nervous in a way he never used to be. He said, "I've been going to therapy. I've been unpacking a lot." I said, "That's good. I'm glad you're taking care of yourself." I didn't say I'm proud of you because I wasn't sure I was. He apologized for all of it. For the way he kept me on pause, for the way he made me beg for crumbs, for how he let my loyalty rot in silence. It was the apology I always wanted, and it broke something in me anyway, because I didn't want it anymore. He asked if there was any part of me that still wanted us. I didn't lie. I said, "Yeah. There's a part of me that wants to say yes and just fall back into what we had." He looked relieved for a second. Then I added, "But I don't trust that part of me anymore." I told him about the guy I'd seen, briefly, casually. He flinched. Not dramatically, just a flicker. I think it was the first time he fully realized I hadn't just been waiting. I had lived, even when it hurt. He said, "What if we tried again? Not from the old place, from who we are now." And I wanted to say yes. God, I did, but something in me was tired. Not of him, of restarting, of giving someone the best of me while they learned how to match it. I said I'd think about it, not because I was leading him on, because I owed it to myself to be sure I wasn't, reacting out of old love or loneliness. He said he understood, but I could tell he was scared, like he knew this was his last shot. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay there staring at the ceiling, wondering what it would mean to try again. Would I resent him? Would I trust him? Could I believe it was different this time? Or would I always be waiting for the other shoe to drop? I made my decision 2 days later. We met at the same park, same coffees, same cold wind. I looked him in the eyes and said, "I believe you've changed. I believe you mean it." He smiled. Started to say something. I held up my hand. "But I'm not her anymore. And she's the one who loved you like that," he cried. I didn't. After I told him, we sat in silence for a while. Not the awkward kind, the kind where everything's been said and there's still nothing easy about it. Eventually, He whispered, "I wish I had gotten here sooner." I nodded. "Me too." He asked if we could still be in each other's lives, not in a desperate way, just hopeful, gentle. I said I didn't think we could, because the space I held for him was sacred. And once it burned, I didn't want to build anything smaller in its place. He didn't beg. He nodded, wiped his face, smiled, but not really. Then he said something I'll never forget. "Thank you for loving me when I didn't know how to let you." I watched him walk away for the second time. Except this time, I was the one who stayed still. And for the first time in years, I felt the air move around me like it belonged to me again. Grief hit hard, not just for him, for the version of me who loved him with everything she had, the girl who held her breath in case he ever decided to come up for air. She was gone now, and I missed her. People always talk about closure like it's a moment, like you'll feel it click and think, "Ah, there it is." But mine didn't feel like that. It felt like quiet mornings, clean sheets, and no unread messages that made my stomach turn. It felt like peace that didn't need a name. I started painting again. I don't know why that matters. It's not a metaphor. It's just something I'd stopped doing when I was wrapped up in him. Now my apartment smells like turpentine and cheap acrylics, and I like it that way. Sometimes, I still think about the version of us that could have made it, if he had been ready, if I'd been stronger, if timing had been kinder. But then I remember, love isn't about maybes. It's about who shows up and when. He sent me one last message. Just before New Year's. No pressure. Just wanted to say, I hope this next year brings you peace and love, the kind you never have to wait for again. I didn't reply, not out of bitterness, but because he was right. I already had it. I still love him, but I love myself more. And I'm not proud of every decision I made or every time I let my feelings talk over my boundaries. But I'm proud that I left, that I meant it, and that I let the story end before it could hurt us both all over again.